At least 40 media outlets published misinformation about transgender ideology in relation to the killing of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. That's according to research conducted by the Trans Journalists Association, which identified outlets like the Wall Street Journal, The Atlantic, The Daily Beast, and CNN running with the disproven stories of a trans shooter or trans bullets. This runway of misinformation started with the Wall Street Journal, which reported that there was transgender and anti-fascist ideology on the bullet casings the day after the shooting. And while some outlets like the New York Times reported skepticism around these reports, others ran with the unproven bulletin and helped fuel a firestorm targeting trans people. And it's important to note that transgender ideology is a term created by and used for anti-trans messaging specifically. The Trans Journalists Association advocates against media even using the term, as it frames being trans as a political choice rather than a lived experience. And this is a fact that's often lost on newsrooms without trans staffers, or at the very least people who are knowledgeable about the way that anti-trans rhetoric has evolved in the last few years, particularly when it comes to this myth around trans shooters. And that reality was incredibly apparent in how the media reacted in the aftermath of Kirk's killing. The Wall Street Journal did not issue a retraction of the story after more information was discovered about the identity of the shooter. Instead, the outlet added an editor's note. Other outlets followed suit in issuing corrections, but let's be real, the damage was already done. And even though we know that the shooter is not trans, the goalposts have continued to move to fit an anti-trans narrative. Now it's the shooter's trans lover, or the rising role of the transgender movement in shootings. Publications, particularly on the right, continue to boost any connection they can make to trans people, no matter how tenuous it is. And the ripple effects of this scale of misinformation and lack of due diligence are directly impacting trans people, and adding gasoline to a hotbed of anti-trans sentiment. Seattle's public radio station KUOW reported on a trans woman who had her image go viral on right-wing corners of the internet as the face of the shooter, even though it wasn't her. As Lex McMahon writes in The Cut, the escalation of misinformation is part of the intense politicization of the media in the Trump era and reflects a larger loss of fact-checking infrastructure and journalism at large. And the aftermath of the Kirk shooting became the perfect storm of distraction. It capitalized on anti-trans messaging and conspiracy theories that are so easily mobilized that the truth kind of ceases to matter. It's just irresponsible for reputable news outlets to also push that narrative at the expense of the facts or checking what is actually true.